Hello. Um, so the original idea for this video was to interview a roommate of mine about his experience with trying to learn a language, like through school and stuff. But unfortunately, at the last second, I came down with a cold. I'm sure you can tell I sound a little congested. So I'm gonna make do and talk about myself and my experience. So it started when I was in seventh grade for my middle school. We had an option. We can either learn Spanish or learn French. And all my friends decided to choose French. So of course, being a middle schooler, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna follow the crowd and I'm gonna go do what my friends are doing. So I went with French. And then in high school, it was just a continuation. So I just did 2 more years in high school, and then in college, I was like, well, I've already taken 4 years, so I might as well stick with it. I will say in middle school, I mean, it was okay. Like I got a decent foundation. I learned like very the bare minimum, like bonjour, salut, au revoir, merci, basic stuff. But trying to get middle schoolers to sound funny and like look different, because when you speak a language, usually you don't. Usually you're gonna like pronounce things a little bit weird. So getting middle schoolers to try and do that just didn't work. And then in high school, it got a little bit better. Some people were a little bit more okay with looking funny and trying to pronounce words. Um, but I didn't really like learn much. And then college is really where I kind of started to pick up. Um, I took 4 years, not 4 years. I took 2 years, 4 semesters, and that's where I really started to kind of like develop an understanding for the language. So I don't know how it is at other schools, but at Texas State, they had us start. First semester was like beginner level. Second semester was kind of like when I was getting kind of tired. Second semester was kind of a build off of that, and then the third and fourth semesters were kind of like, all right, you learned, you know, basic tenses. We learned the passé composé, the imparfait, things like that, and then we learned like very, like kind of like a wide range of vocabulary. And then in the third and fourth semester, sorry, I went like that. In the third or fourth semester, we started to get more into like grammar and actually sounding French rather than like um, what words were and stuff. So we learned kind of the like the syntax of the language is a better way to put it. Um, and also in college, at least in the first 2 semesters, there was still kind of that thing of people not wanting, kind of being afraid to make mistakes and sound kind of funny, at least in my classes. And then when I got into my third and fourth semesters, by that point, everyone was kind of like, okay, like I'm here because I want to learn the language, and that's where it really started to take off. And honestly, I only had two professors when I learned in college. My first one, she was great. She was a kind of a new professor. She came from France and had been studying at UT for a couple of years to get her PhD in education and and teach French. And she was really good. I liked her. And then my last 2 semesters, I had another one, and she was awesome. I loved taking her class. She spoke a lot of languages, not just French, and she was very like, oh bonjour, oh la la. She wasn't French, but she was very. She got the language really well, and she really pushed us to like go with the flow and just dive in. And from like what I've heard from my friends, they didn't all have that experience, but that was mine. I had actually had a pretty good one. So if you're going to Texas State, um, I would definitely recommend taking Valerie Masson, Masson, and then Maria Luisa Gomez. Those were my two professors, and they were both fantastic.